That's devastating. I mean, with mental health, there's parity now where they're supposed to understand that there is parity, but they're looking at the bottom line. The doctor-patient relationship, what I said before, is not being protected the way it should be. And we're going to have an opportunity, if this legislation is done right, to ensure that these kind of problems are corrected. Because they're critical, they're important.
And it's important to the person that is happening too, when they themselves can't handle the situation and you need to place them somewhere and you're being denied, up until the point maybe someone hurt someone, then the papers got it all, they should have been in the hospital, but ANCOR will say no, we're not taking those patients anymore. Or you'll go to another system and they'll say no because of Medicaid, he doesn't qualify, or, you know, it's hard. It's very hard to do that. And all the doors are being shut more because they're cutting back on the money. You get no help.
And then you have the caregiver who gets so burned out. There's a wonderful caregiver, it's a wonderful program.
And ladies and gentlemen, if I could jump in here right now, because I know the Congressman has to run. He's been here for more than an hour, but I just want to make maybe 2 quick points. Number one, you probably all know that AARP is fiercely nonpartisan. On the other hand, you heard the Congressman here talk about his bipartisanship. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your Congressman because he's been a leader in Congress, and you've heard what he said about health care reform. Please join me in thanking Congressman. And now I'd like to bring up the Manager of Advocacy for AARP in New Jersey. You may have seen his name in the paper recently. He's starting to become semi-famous. Let me introduce right now our Manager of Advocacy, Douglas Johnston.
Infamous is probably more like it. Can you hear me in the back? Am I speaking loudly enough? All right, great. Again, my name is Doug Johnston, and I'm responsible for managing governmental affairs, which means our advocacy on your behalf in the state of New Jersey to your federal and state officials. And it has been my pleasure and honor to do that for now 8.5 years. And you already heard from Glenda Riddick, who was handling the questions. Glenda is responsible for our federal advocacy work. Patricia Kelmar, a few of you might have heard of or met. Patricia Kelmar is our lead advocate in the State House. She's not with us today, but I would be negligent if I did not mention her name. And of course, you heard from our State Director, Jim Ditterly. It is my honor today to introduce the State Senator from this area, State Senator Jeff Van Drew, and the 2 Assemblymen from this district, Assemblyman Milam and Assemblyman Nelson Albano, who's not quite here yet, but hopefully he'll be on the way. Before I have them come up, I did want to say a few words about what AARP is doing to advocate on your behalf on state issues in the State House in Trenton, because we do work very hard for you every day on issues ranging from health care to property taxes and everything in between. AARP advocates to get you the services you need, the assistance you need, the property tax relief you need, and improvements in consumer safety products and services on a wide variety of issues. I'm very proud of, and I know we all are very proud of, the work that AARP does on your behalf. Despite a horrible budget situation that the governor and the legislature are grappling with this year, the governor has done a pretty darn good job considering that situation in protecting the senior property tax freeze program, the senior property tax rebates, the homestead rebates for seniors, and issues related to that. You should be fairly well protected under the current plan that's being proposed, that the governor proposed to the legislature, and the legislature will vote on in the month ahead as regards property taxes. I know the senator and assemblyman might want to address that issue as well. I also wanted to mention a very important issue related to assisted living facilities. that State Senator Van Drew is a leader on and that he needs your help on, and that AARP is committed to helping him get a new bill through the legislature to protect residents of assisted living facilities. AARP has also been a leader on improving home and community-based care services so that people can avoid going into nursing homes prematurely. AARP believes that you should have the choices of services that are affordable for you and your family so that you can stay in your homes and your communities as long as possible with the supportive services you need to stay where you want to be, which is 9 times out of 10. Where do you want to be? You want to be in your homes and your communities. That is our commitment to you. That is our work. And then the one last issue I did want to mention is healthcare quality. AARP has been a leader on improving healthcare quality in New Jersey, not only as it regards nursing homes and assisted living facilities, but our goal at AARP is to provide greater healthcare quality, transparency, and accountability in our hospitals. As you all know, the hospitals in New Jersey are under extreme financial stress. We have numerous hospitals that have closed in recent years, and while that issue is being dealt with, we also have to make sure that healthcare quality is protected, because you may not know this, but more Americans die from preventable medical errors that happen to them in hospitals than die from a number of different diseases. This is a very critical problem, and legislation has fortunately been adopted in the Senate and Assembly recently that will provide for the public reporting of major preventable medical errors, and that same legislation will also protect consumers from having to pay for preventable medical errors when they happen. I want to give you two good examples. We have a woman, an AARP member from Jersey City. She was going to get married to a gentleman who died, unfortunately, because he went in for lung surgery. He was going to have a cancerous part of his lungs taken out of one of his lungs, and the surgeon operated on the wrong lung, and he removed part of the healthy lung, and as a result, the gentleman died, and eventually, it was a couple of years later, but eventually the state did take away, they did sanction the physician for making that mistake, but these mistakes are very, very real, and that is what you call a wrong site surgery, and believe it or not, it happens. Another example, a gentleman in Cherry Hill was a feature of an article on the AARP Bulletin website. I don't know if you saw the article. He went in for brain surgery. Guess what happened? They cut open the wrong side of his head. And you should see the picture. You can go online to aarp.org. Fortunately, before they cut into his skull, they just cut through the skin, but before they cut into his skull, they realized they made a mistake, so they stitched that back up and then put the correct stitches. He got over 36 stitches, and you should see the picture on the website. He looks like something out of Frankenstein. These medical errors are very preventable. There's no reason they should happen, and that's what medical professionals say if proper procedures are taken to prevent these medical errors from happening. But they're very, very real, and AARP is committed to providing the accountability and transparency to reduce the errors and to protect consumers like you from having those things happen to you. And of course, you shouldn't have to pay for these medical errors when they happen. So there's a lot going on in the State House. As usual, I'll ask the Senator and Assemblyman to come up and say hello and talk to you about the state budget and what other issues they would like, and take a few questions. Thank you, Senator. If you want to just take the podium mic.
It is good to see all of you, you know, so many of you. In fact, the last unserious thing that won't be serious, so many of you come to my house every, the Friday after Labor Day. We have the big pig roast. You know that you are all invited, as you always are. The only difference may be, and if anybody's not on our list for that, please let us know, because as you know, we have about 1,500 people over at my home, and we love to have you, and everything's free, and it's non-political and non-partisan, and Assemblyman Albano and Milam and I host it, and that's it. There's no speeches. This year, for the first time in a decade, it may be the Saturday, because Friday is September 11th. And so we may have it on the 12th, and that's the one thing I did want to let you know all about. If you have any questions, let us know, and we'll be free to hook you up with that. Couple issues. First of all, let me apologize. I only can be with you for a little while. This was a really difficult time for me today. I have a whole host of commitments. Assemblyman Albano does, and Assemblyman Milam. Assemblyman Albano is going to try to make it here late. Assemblyman Milam is going to hold the fort in the middle, and I'm going to go here in the beginning. Couple things I wanted to speak to you about. First of all, assisted living. You may have read and you may have seen